भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतस्य भगवति उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 25, how all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. Somehow I missed the bookmark. Any idea what shloka?
We started from 17 yesterday, Prabhuji. Then
Yeah,
what?
but where did we end?
You
Okay,
you only talk about
we can start from 46, I think. It's somewhere there, 46. एते कही सही करे कृष्ण संकीर्तन शून्य प्रकाश आनंद किछु कहे न बचन. After saying this, the disciple of Prakashanand Saraswati began to chant the holy name of Krishna. So he glorified what Mahaprabhu said about Vedanta Sutra. Hearing this, Prakashanand Saraswati made the following statement. Acharyera agraha advaita vada sthapite tate sutra artha vyakya kare anya rite. Prakashanand Saraswati said Shankaracharya was very eager to establish the philosophy of monism. Therefore, he explained the Vedanta Sutra or Vedanta philosophy in a different way to support monistic philosophy. Bhagavata manile advaita na jaye sthapan atev sab shastra kare khandan. If one accepts the personality of Godhead, the philosophy that maintains that God and living entity are one cannot be established. Therefore, Shankaracharya argued against and refuted all kinds of revealed scriptures. यही ग्रंथ करता चाहे सुमत स्थापिते शास्त्रेर सहज अर्थ नाहि ताहिते. Anyone who wants to establish his own opinion of philosophy certainly cannot explain any scripture according to the principle of direct interpretation. मीमांसक कहे ईश्वर है कर्मेर अंग, सांख्य कहे जगतेर प्रकृति कारण प्रसंग. The Mimamsak philosophers conclude that if there is God, he is subject to our fruitive activities. So this means he is subject to our fruit. Means whatever we do, he has to give us the results. So, but that philosophy is not correct, completely correct, because that takes away the mercy of God. And it doesn't tell us when are we going to get the results. Today, tomorrow, next life, following life, when? No, that he will decide. Similarly, the Sankhya philosophers who analyze a cosmic manifestation say that the cause of the cosmos is material nature. But they miss wherever, how can they say cause of cosmos is material nature, or the cause of the universe is material nature? So, where was the material nature when the universe was not manifested? They cannot explain all this. And where are all the ingredients of cosmic universe come from? न्याय कहे परमाणु है ते विश्व है मायावादी निर्विशेष ब्रह्म हेतु काय. The followers of Nyaya, the philosophy of logic, maintain that the atom is a cause of the cosmic manifestation. And the Mayavadi philosophers maintain that the impersonal Brahman effulgence is the cause of the cosmic manifestation. But they all are wrong, ultimately. Atom cannot be the cause of cosmic manifestation because atom cannot move on its own. Somebody has to move it. Somebody has to make it interact with other atoms. पातंजल कहे ईश्वर है स्वरूप ज्ञान वेद मत कहे तारे स्वयं भगवान. The Patanjal philosophers state that when one is self-realized, he understands the Lord. Similarly, according to the Vedas and Vedic principles, the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chai Chai Mata Vyas Kaila Vartana Sahi Sab Sutra Laya Vedanta Varnana. After reading the six philosophical theses, Vyasadeva completely summarized them all in the aphorisms of Vedanta philosophy. वेदांत मत ब्रह्म साकार निरूपण निर्गुण व्यतीत केति हो आयते सगुण. According to Vedanta philosophy, the absolute truth is a person. Absolute truth is a person. When the word nirgun, without qualities, is used, it is to be understood that the Lord has attributes that are totally spiritual, means he has no material qualities. All his qualities are spiritual. But this Vedanta philosophy, even Shankaracharya, with this word jugglery, he has changed it. Param karan Ishwar keha nahi mahane, swa swa mat sthape paramatre matera khandane. Of the philosophers mentioned, none really cares for the Supreme Personality of God, the cause of all causes. They're always busy refuting the philosophical theories of others and establishing their own. ताते चाहे दर्शन हईते तत्व नाही जानी महाजन जय कहे सही सत्यमान. By studying the six philosophical theories, one cannot reach the absolute truth. It is therefore our duty to follow the path of the Mahajans, the authorities. Whatever they say should be accepted as the supreme truth. In his Amrit Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the six philosophical processes. Prakashananda admitted that Srivas Shankaracharya, being very eager to establish his philosophy of monism, took shelter of the Vedanta philosophy and tried to explain it in his own way. The fact is, however, that if one accepts the existence of God, one certainly cannot establish the theory of monism. Monism means we all are one, mono, as one. For this reason, Shankaracharya refuted all kinds of Vedic literature that establishes the supremacy of the personality of Godhead. In various ways, Shankaracharya has tried to refute the Vedic literature. Throughout the world, 99% of the philosophers following in the footsteps of Shankaracharya refuse to accept the supreme personality of Godhead. See, also, Shankaracharya, whenever you see any painting of his, he's always like this, one. But if we see the painting of Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, they're like this too. Means we are not same as God. Or like Mahaprabhu said, we are same and different at the same time. Instead, they try to establish their own opinions. It is typical of mundane philosophers to want to establish their own opinions and refute those of others. Therefore, first, the Mimamsak philosophers, following the principles of Jaimini, stress fruitive activity and say that if there is a God, he must be under the laws of fruitive activity. In other words, if one performs his duties very nicely in the material world, God is obliged to give one the desired result. Obliged to give one the desired result. According to these philosophers, there is no need to become a devotee of God. If one strictly follows moral principles, one will be recognized by the Lord, who will give the desired reward. Such philosophers do not accept the Vedic principle of Bhakti Yoga. Instead, they give stress to following one's prescribed duty. But first of all, even one tries to do his prescribed duty properly, there still can be mistakes. Just like there is a story, there was a Brahmin who was taking bath in a river, and a cow came running. And behind, little bit behind the cow, was a hunter who was going to kill the cow. Now, cow came running, and she told the Brahmin that I'm running from this killer, so I'm going to run this way. Please help me. Please save me. So the hunter came, and he asked the Brahmin, where did the cow go? Now the Brahmin, he could not tell the truth because the cow had asked him not to tell. But at the same time, he thought, I'm a Brahmin, I cannot tell a lie. So he did not say which direction the cow went. He just pointed in that direction. The cow went that way. And later the hunter went and killed the cow. So did the Brahmin do the right thing? Somebody will say, yes, according to his Varna and Ashram, he could not tell a lie. So, yeah, but at the same time, he did not tell, he just pointed. But regardless, the cow got killed. So once there was one person traveling from village to village, just going different places. So he came to this house. It was getting late, and he asked the homeowner to give him shelter, if he can just take rest at night outside the house. And the homeowner said, yeah, sure, have some prashadam to eat and then you can take rest. And when he was taking rest, middle of the night, the lady of the house came out. Because the person was very attractive and the lady got attracted to him. And lady said, you should satisfy me. And the person, the traveler, he got scared. He said, no, what are you talking about? I cannot do anything like that. The lady said, well, if you don't, then I'll get you implicated. The traveler said, do whatever you want. I'm not going to do anything nonsense. So she started screaming, and her husband came out, the villagers came out, and she said, this person tried to do wrong things with me. And the person, traveler, kept on saying, no, she's lying, she's lying. But nobody listened. No, going back. The lady, the lady, what she did, she went inside and she killed her husband and put the blame on that traveler. So next day the panchayat said, and they believed the lady, and they said, since you killed that man, your hands must be cut off. So they cut off his right hand, not both, just the right hand. So the traveler was very shocked, because then he left and he went to he was still traveling. He went to a sadhu, he saw a sadhu, went to him and he told him the entire thing. Sadhu went into meditation and he said, last life you were that Brahman. And because you pointed to that cow with your hand got cut off. And that lady was a cow, and that her husband in this lifetime was a hunter who killed that cow last life. So she got that man killed this lifetime. So the point is, what did they do wrong in the previous life? So Mimamsak philosophy doesn't always count in. There's so many conditions to be fulfilled. And in Bhakti Yoga, another feature that comes in is the mercy of the Lord. We might do many unknowingly sinful activities. But Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sham. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma shuncha. Sarva papebhyo. So where is the question of Mimamsak philosophy here? And then second, atheistic Sankhya philosophers like Kapila analyze the material elements very scrutinizing and thereby come to the conclusion that material nature is the cause of everything. They do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes. So material nature, which is energy of the Lord, cannot be the cause because the person has to be there to make the energy move or work. So not that energy is going to work on its own. Nyaya philosophers like Gautam and Kanad have accepted the combination of atoms as the original cause of the creation. Now atoms, they're not going to interact on their own, combine on their own, and produce so much of variety without the Lord getting involved. Mayavadi philosophers say that everything is an illusion, headed by philosophers like Ashtavakra. They stress the impersonal Brahman effulgence as a cause of everything. So again, a person is required to make things move for the interaction, not this impersonal Brahman. And philosophers following the precepts of Patanjali practice Raja Yoga. They imagine a form of the absolute truth within many forms. That is a process of self-realization. But Krishna has explained in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita how to do this Raja Yoga or meditation. And doesn't say, imagine a form. He says, meditate on me. He clearly says. So even Patanjali, they don't follow it properly. All 5 of these philosophies completely reject the predominance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and strive to establish their own philosophical theories. However, Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Vedanta Sutra in taking the essence of all Vedic literature, established the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All 5 kinds of philosophers mentioned above understand that impersonal Brahman is without material qualities. And they believe that when the personality of Godhead appears, he is contaminated. And they believe that he is contaminated and covered by the material qualities. So all 5 except the Vedanta Sutra philosophy. The technical term used is Sagun. They speak of Sagun Brahman and Nirgun Brahman. For them, Nirguna Brahman means the impersonal absolute truth without any material qualities. And Sagun Brahman means the absolute truth that accepts the contamination of material qualities. More or less, this kind of philosophical speculation is called Mayavad philosophy. The fact is, however, that the absolute truth never has anything to do with material qualities because he is transcendental, always transcendental. He is always complete with full spiritual qualities. The 5 philosophers mentioned above do not accept Lord Vishnu as the Supreme Personality of God, but they are very busy refuting the philosophies of other schools. There are 6 kinds of philosophical processes in India. Because Vyasadeva is a Vedic authority, he is known as Vedavyas. His philosophical explanation of the Vedanta Sutra is accepted by the devotees. As Krishna confirms, Sarvasya Chaham Ridivat Sannivishtu. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. The ultimate goal of studying all Vedic literature is the acceptance of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Krishna consciousness movement is propagating the philosophical conclusion of Srila Vyasadeva and following other great acharyas like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarkacharya, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. But it's difficult to convince people that the supreme absolute truth is a person. And then what is our position? We are spirit souls, part and parcel of that supreme. And our only job, only duty is to serve him. Not that easy. Tarko apratisthita shrutoyo vibhinna. Nasha vrishir yasya matam na bhinnam. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena patagata sapant. Dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajans advocate. So that is the way of understanding. Follow the Mahajans, follow the Acharyas. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Vani Amritera Dhara. Tiho ye kahe vastu sei tattva sar. The words of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are a shower of nectar. Whatever he concludes to be the ultimate truth is indeed the summum bonum of all spiritual knowledge. Ei sab vritanta shuni Maharashtriya Brahman Prabhu re kahite sukhe kari lagama. After hearing all these statements, the Maharashtrian Brahman very jubilantly went to inform Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hena kale Mahaprabhu panchanadya snan kari, dekhite chaliya chena bindu madhavari. When the Maharashtrian Brahman went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord was going to the temple of Bindu Madhav after bathing in the waters of Panchanath. Pathe sai vipra sab vritant kahila, shuni Mahaprabhu sukhe ishat hasila. While the Lord was on his way, the Maharashtrian Brahman informed him about the incident that took place in the camp of Prakashanand Saraswati. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled happily because they were all coming to accept the conclusions of Mahaprabhu. Madhav Saundarya dekhi avishta haila, anganete ashi preme nachite lagila. Upon reaching the temple of Bindu Madhav, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing the beauty of Lord Bindu Madhav, became overwhelmed in ecstatic love. He then began to dance in the courtyard of the temple. Shekhar Paramananda Tapana Sanatana Chari Jan Mili Kare Nama Sankirtana. There were 4 people accompanying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and these were Chandrasekhar, Paramananda Kirtanya, Tapan Mishra, and Sanatan Goswami. They were all chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the following way. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. They chanted Hare Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. So this is another way of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The meaning is as follows. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And he is a descendant of Yadu family, Yadavaya. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Gopal, Govind, Ram, and Shri Madhusudan. चौदी केते लक्ष्य लोक बोले हरि हरि उठिल मंगल ध्वनि स्वर्ग मर्त्य भारी. In all directions, hundreds of thousands of people began to chant Hari Hari. Thus there arose a tumultuous and auspicious sound filling the entire universe. निकटे हरि ध्वनि शुनि प्रकाशानंदा देखिते को तुके आइला लया शिष्य वृंदा. When Prakashanand Saraswati, who was staying nearby, heard this tumultuous chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he and his disciples immediately came to see the Lord. देखिए प्रभुर नित्य प्रेम देहर माधुरी शिष्य गण संगे सही बोले हरि हरि. When Prakashanand Saraswati saw the Lord, he and his disciples also joined the chanting with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prakashanand Saraswati was charmed by the Lord's dancing and ecstatic love and by the transcendental beauty of his body. Kampaswar Bhangasveda Vavarnya Stambha Ashuddharai Bhije Loke Pulak Kadamba. Ecstatic spiritual transformations began to take place in the Lord's body. His body trembled and his voice faltered. He perspired, turned pale, and wept a constant flow of tears, which wet all the people standing there. The eruptions of the Lord's body appeared like Kadamba flowers. Harshadanya Chapalyadi Shanchari Vikara Dekhi Kashi Vasi Lokera Haila Chamatkara. All the people were astonished to see the Lord's jubilation and humility and to hear him talk in ecstasy. Indeed, all the residents of Banaras, Kashi, saw the bodily transformations and were astonished. Loka Sangat Dekhi Prabhur Bhaya Jabe Aila Sanyasira Gana Dekhi Nritya Samvarila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained his external consciousness, he saw that many Mayavadi sannyasis and other people were gathered there. He therefore suspended his dancing for the time being, because they could have misunderstood his ecstatic emotions. Prakashanandera Prabhu Vandila Charan, Prakashananda Ashitara Dharila Charan. After stopping the kirtan, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a great example of humility, offered prayers unto the feet of Prakashanand Saraswati. At this, Prakashanand Saraswati immediately came forward and clasped the Lord's lotus feet. Prabhu kahe tumi Jagat Guru Pujaatma, Ami tomar nahai Shishera Shishya Sama. When Prakashanand Saraswati caught hold of Lord's lotus feet, the Lord said, "My dear sir, you are the spiritual master of the whole world, Jagat Guru. Therefore, you are most worshipable. As far as I am concerned, I am not even on the level of the disciple of your disciple." Mayavadi sannyasis generally call themselves Jagat Guru, the spiritual master of the whole world. Many consider themselves worshipable by everyone, although they do not even go outside India or their own district. Out of his great magnanimity and humility, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented himself as a subordinate disciple of Prakashanand Saraswati. Shrestha haya kene kar hine ravandhanam, amar sarva nasha hai tumi brahma sam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "You are a great spiritually advanced personality, and therefore you cannot worship a person like me. I am far inferior. If you do so, my spiritual power will be diminished, for you are as good as the impersonal Brahman." Kind of ironic in his saying that. Yadyapi tomare sab brahma sam bhase, lok shiksha lagi aiche karite na aiche. My dear sir, for you everyone is on the level of impersonal Brahman, but for the enlightenment of people in general, you should not behave in that. तेहो कहे तुम्हार पूर्वे निंदा अपराध करीला, तुम्हार चरण स्पर्शे सब क्षय गेला. Prakashanand Saraswati replied, formerly I committed many offenses against you by blaspheming you, but now the effects of my offenses are counteracted by my touching your lotus feet. जीवन मुक्ता अपि पुनर्यान्ति संसार वासना, यदि अचिंत्य महाशक्तो भगवती अपराधिना. If a person considered liberated in this life commits offenses against the reservoir of inconceivable potencies, the Supreme Personality of God, he will again fall down and desire the material atmosphere for material enjoyment. If a person considered liberated in this life, even if he commits offenses, he'll fall down. Savai Bhagavata Shrimad Pada Sparsha Hata Shubha भेजे सर्प वपुर हित्वा रूपम विद्याधर अर्चितम. Being touched by the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, that serpent was immediately freed from the reactions of his sinful life. Thus the serpent gave up his body and assumed the body of a beautiful Vidyadhar demigod. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavat. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, under the leadership of Nanda Maharaj, once went to the bank of Saraswati on a pilgrimage. Nanda Maharaj was fasting and he lay down near the forest. At that time, a serpent who was formerly cursed by Angiras Rishi appeared. This serpent had formerly been named Sudarshan and he had belonged to the Vidyadhar planet. However, because he joked with the Rishi, he was condemned to take on the body of a big snake. When this serpent attacked Nanda Maharaj began to call, Krishna, help. Krishna immediately appeared and began to kick the serpent with his lotus feet. Due to being touched by the Lord's lotus feet, the serpent was immediately freed from the reactions of his sinful life. Being freed, he again assumed his original form of Sudarshan, the Vidyadhar. But he had committed an offense, and even he had to take the form of a snake. But even though he got the form of the snake, because then he repented, he fell down at the lotus feet of Angiras Rishi and asked him for forgiveness. So Angiras Rishi said, well, I cannot take back the curse, but I can modify it that you will be killed by the lotus feet of Krishna and then you'll get your original form back. Prabhu kahe Vishnu Vishnu ami kshudra jiva hina jive Vishnu maniye aparadha chin. When Prakashanand Saraswati supported himself by quoting the words from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately protested by uttering the holy name of Lord Vishnu. The Lord then presented himself as a most fallen living entity and he said, if someone accepts a fallen conditioned soul as Vishnu, Bhagwan, or an incarnation, he commits a great offense. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to teach us a lesson, he nonetheless denied belonging to the Vishnu category. Unfortunately, there are many so-called Vishnu incarnations in this age of Kali. People do not know that posing oneself as an incarnation is most offensive. People should not accept an ordinary man as an incarnation of God, for this also is a very great offense. Jive Vishnu Buddhi Dure Jai Brahma Rudra Sama Narayane Mane Tare Pashandite Ganan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued to say nothing of ordinary living entities, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot be considered on the level of Vishnu or Narayana. Brahma Rudra Sama. They cannot. If one considers them as such, he is immediately considered an offender and atheist. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Devate Samatveneva Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhavedhrava. A person who considers demigods like Brahma and Shiva to be on an equal level with Narayan is to be considered an offender of Pashandi. So anyway, the conversation will go on. We'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna, Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.